Computer Application in Business. Session 1, Foundational Computer Applications and Hardware Elements in Business. We begin our first session by laying down the architectural foundation of computer systems within a modern commercial enterprise. In the context of contemporary commerce, a computer is not merely an electronic appliance, but an integrated electronic data processing system designed to accept raw data, manipulate it according to pre-programmed instructions, and output meaningful information for corporate decision-making. The core conceptual foundation rests on the classic system model of input, processing, output, and storage. In international, English and global business environments, proficiency in this domain requires you to clearly distinguish between raw data, which represents unorganized facts such as individual transaction receipts, and processed information, which represents structured data that provides business value, such as a monthly revenue summary report. When analyzing the hardware framework, a critical point that university students frequently miss is the exact interaction between the central processing unit and the primary storage units. The central processing unit is the true brain of the computer, consisting of the control unit, which acts as a traffic manager directing the flow of electronic signals, and the arithmetic logic unit, which performs all the mathematical calculations and logical comparisons. Students often fail to explain how the arithmetic logic unit relies on ultrafast internal memory locations called registers to hold data temporarily during the microsecond it takes to perform an operation. Let us address a highly probable long-answer examination question that appears consistently across previous years. The question states, discuss in detail the functional components of a digital computer system and explain how they interact to process business data. To write a perfect model answer for this in the examination hall, you must frame your response in a narrative flow that walks the examiner through the entire data life cycle. Your model answer should begin by explaining the input unit, which bridges the gap between the human operator and the machine by converting human-readable information into binary machine language using devices like keyboards, optical character readers, and barcode scanners. Next, describe the central processing unit as the core processing engine, detailing its three internal subcomponents, which are the control unit, the arithmetic logic unit, and the internal registers. Follow this by explaining primary memory, specifically random access memory, which holds the active data and operating code that the processor is currently executing. Conclude by describing the output unit, which translates binary processing results back into human understandable forms using visual display terminals and high-speed printers, and secondary storage units like solid-state drives, which provide permanent, non-volatile retention of data for future business access. To secure maximum marks from the university examiner, your answer must explicitly emphasize the cooperative feedback loop between these components. You should use a clear story-based memory anchor to visualize this interaction. Imagine a busy corporate restaurant where the waiter taking the customer order represents the input unit, the head chef cooking the meal represents the arithmetic logic unit, the kitchen manager coordinating orders represents the control unit, the temporary prep counter represents random access memory, and the serving window represents the output unit. By describing this continuous, cyclical flow of operations, you demonstrate a deep, practical understanding that instantly elevates your score above students who merely provide isolated definitions. A common mistake to avoid is confusing random access memory with secondary storage. Remember that primary memory is volatile, meaning it loses its entire contents the moment electricity is disconnected, whereas secondary storage is non-volatile and permanently retains your business files. Session 2, Software Systems and Operating Frameworks. Moving forward into our second audio learning session, we shift our focus from physical hardware components to the digital intelligence that brings the machine to life, which is computer software. Software is defined as a comprehensive set of programs, procedures, rules, and associated documentation that instructs the physical hardware exactly how to perform specific processing tasks. We classify software into two grand categories, which are system software and application software. System software acts as the foundational layer that manages the hardware resources and creates a stable environment for other programs to run. The single most vital piece of system software is the operating system. An operating system is the core master control program that acts as an intermediary interface between the computer hardware and the human user or application programs. In global business contexts, professional proficiency requires an understanding of how an operating system manages multiple competing business applications simultaneously through advanced resource management functions. These critical functions include process management, which schedules how the central processing unit allocates time to different programs, memory management, which tracks every byte of primary storage and prevents applications from crashing into one another, file management, which organizes data into directory structures, and device management, which coordinates communication with external peripherals through software drivers. An exceptionally common university examination question asks, compare and contrast system software and application software, and explain the essential functions of a modern operating system in a corporate environment. The model answer you must reproduce in the examination hall begins with a clear conceptual distinction. System software is general purpose, hardware facing, and runs continuously in the background to maintain system stability. In contrast, application software is specific purpose, user-facing, and is designed to perform distinct productive tasks for the business user, such as drafting a contract in a word processor or calculating financial figures in a spreadsheet. The model answer must then detail the primary functions of the operating system by describing process scheduling, memory allocation, device virtualization, and user interface provisioning, whether through a classic text-based command line interface or a modern graphical user interface using windows, icons, menus, and pointers. To earn full marks, your answer must show the examiner that you understand the business value of these functions. Use the 5-finger recall system to anchor the 5 primary responsibilities of an operating system. Think of your thumb as the processor scheduler, controlling speed, your index finger as the memory allocator pointing to storage locations, your middle finger as the file manager organizing folders, your ring finger as the device coordinator connecting peripherals, and your pinky finger as the security guardian protecting user access control. The most frequent error students commit is describing application software features. When asked about operating systems, keep your focus entirely on the infrastructural layer. Never mention creating spreadsheets or editing videos when explaining the core duties of system software. Session 3, Word processing and business. Documentation. In our third session, we explore the primary application tool utilized in administrative environments worldwide, which is word processing software. Word processing refers to the use of electronic computer applications to create, edit, format, store, retrieve, and print textual documents. In an international business context, professional documentation demands strict adherence to formal formatting standards. This includes understanding typography, paragraph alignment, margins, styles, templates, headers, footers, and advanced features like mail merge. Mail merge is a powerful automation process that combines a static form letter template with a dynamic data source, such as a customer address spreadsheet, to generate hundreds of personalized business letters or promotional notices simultaneously without manual retyping. A critical examination point that students frequently miss is explaining the structural difference between manual formatting and style-based formatting. Examiners look for a clear understanding that professional business documentation relies on paragraph and character styles to maintain absolute visual consistency across multi-page corporate reports, rather than manually altering fonts line by line. A recurring university examination question asks, define word processing and explain how advanced features like mail merge, templates, and track changes enhance administrative efficiency in a modern corporate office. To write an excellent model answer, begin by defining word processing as an integrated software system for text manipulation that enhances document layout accuracy and speed. Then, dedicate a comprehensive section to mail merge, explaining its two required structural elements, which are the main document containing form, text and merge fields, and the data source containing recipient records. Describe how the software automatically links them during execution. Next, explain that templates are pre-formatted master blueprints that enforce corporate brand standards across invoices, agendas, and letters. Finally, describe track changes as a collaborative audit tool that preserves document integrity by highlighting additions, deletions, and editorial comments made by multiple legal or management reviewers. To maximize your marks, frame your answer from the perspective of an administrative manager, focused on cost reduction and accuracy. Use a vivid mental imagery anchor to remember the mail merge process. Picture a double-stream river where one branch carries clean, identical bottles representing the main document template, and the other branch carries unique label tags representing the data source. Where the two streams merge, each bottle receives its unique label, creating a perfectly customized product. A common mistake to avoid in the examination hall is providing a simple list of word processor buttons. Do not just say that word processors have bold and italic features. Instead, use professional academic terminology like typographic emphasis, document geometry, and collaborative version control to demonstrate university-level proficiency. Session 4, Electronic Spreadsheets and Data Analysis. Our fourth session brings us to the mathematical heart of business decision-making, which is electronic spreadsheet software. A spreadsheet is an interactive computer application program for data organization, analysis, and storage in a tabular form consisting of intersecting rows and columns. The intersection of a single row and column forms a cell, and each cell is identified by a unique alphanumeric cell address, such as column alpha row 10. Spreadsheets are powerful because they allow users to define mathematical relationships between cells using formulas and functions. A formula is a user-defined mathematical expression, whereas a function is a built-in, pre-programmed formula that performs complex calculations automatically, such as summation, mathematical averages, or financial net present value determinations. In international commercial environments, advanced data proficiency requires mastery over cell referencing methods. Students frequently mix these up, which costs them significant marks. There are three primary types of cell referencing. First, relative referencing, where the cell address adjusts automatically when a formula is copied to another location. Second, absolute referencing, designated by inserting currency symbols before the column letter and row number, which locks the reference to a specific cell so that it never changes regardless of where the formula is moved. Third, mixed referencing, where either the row or the column is locked while the other remains free to adjust. A major examination question that appears consistently is, explain the concepts of formulas and functions in electronic spreadsheets, and describe the absolute necessity of absolute cell referencing versus relative cell referencing using a practical business scenario. Your model answer must define both concepts with complete academic precision. Explain that every formula must begin with an mathematical equals sign, instructing the software engine to calculate the cell value rather than treating the input as static text. Then, introduce a clear business scenario to explain cell referencing. For example, describe an invoice calculation where you have a vertical column of product prices that must all be multiplied by a single, static sales tax rate, located in a solitary cell at the top of the worksheet. Explain that if a student uses relative referencing, copying the formula down the column will cause the tax rate reference to shift downward into empty cells, resulting in catastrophic calculation errors. Therefore, absolute referencing must be applied to lock the tax rate cell address in place. To capture maximum marks, ensure you write out the exact hypothetical syntax of the formulas in full words, explaining the role of the currency symbol as a digital lock. Use an auditory repetition trigger to cement this concept, repeating to yourself, relative moves, absolute locks, relative moves, absolute locks. This simple loop will echo in your mind during the exam. The most common error to avoid is forgetting to begin your formula examples with the equals sign. An entry without an equals sign is interpreted by the spreadsheet merely as literal text, which completely defeats the purpose of automatic calculation and will result in a deduction of marks by the examiner. Session 5, Multimedia Presentations in Business Communication. In our fifth audio session, we explore the visual dynamics of corporate communication through multimedia presentation software. A multimedia presentation is an unstructured combination of text, graphics, audio, video, and animation delivered via electronic slides to convey information to an audience. In professional international business contexts, effective presentation design is governed by cognitive load theory, which states that human working memory has a strictly limited capacity. Therefore, professional presenters avoid the amateur mistake of overloading slides with dense paragraphs of text. Instead, they use slides as minimalist visual anchors that support and amplify the spoken narrative of the speaker. A critical examination point that students regularly fail to articulate is the strategic difference between slide transitions and object animations. Slide transitions refer to the visual effects that occur when the presentation moves from one complete slide to the next slide. Object animations refer to the motion effects applied to individual elements within a single slide, such as a chart fading in or a line of text appearing sequentially. Examiners look for students who can explain how these features should be used with restraint to maintain corporate professionalism, rather than creating distracting visual clutter. A common long answer examination question reads, discuss the design principles of an effective professional business presentation and explain how multimedia tools can be used to maximize audience engagement without compromising corporate standards. To structure a model answer that achieves top marks, begin by outlining the core design philosophy, such as the classic rule of thumb stating that slides should contain fewer than 6 lines of text with fewer than 6 words per line. Explain that this prevents the audience from reading ahead and ignoring the speaker. Next, describe the application of consistent visual hierarchies using master slides, which ensure that typography, background colors, and corporate logos remain uniform across all slides. Then, explain the role of visual data representation, detailing how complex financial metrics should be presented through clean, clear charts rather than dense numerical tables, allowing executives to grasp trends instantly. To ensure the examiner awards you highest marks, write your answer from the viewpoint of a communications consultant advising executive leadership. Implement a memory palace association to remember the key elements of presentation design. Imagine walking into the main boardroom of your corporate headquarters. First, look at the door, which represents the initial impact and slide transitions. Second, look at the large projector screen on the wall, representing the minimalist layout and visual hierarchy. Third, look at the speaker standing confidently at the podium, representing the spoken narrative that carries the true substance of the presentation. Avoid the common error of focusing purely on software button descriptions. Do not spend paragraphs describing how to select colors or fonts. Focus entirely on the communication strategy and the psychological impact of visual minimalism on the audience. Session 6, Database Management Systems for Business Operations. We now enter our 6th audio session, moving into the advanced domain of data architecture and database management systems. A database is an organized, structured collection of logically related data stored in a computer system. A database management system is a specialized software application that interacts with end users, applications, and the database itself to capture, analyze, and manage information. Unlike a flat file spreadsheet, which suffers from severe data redundancy and update inconsistencies, a relational database organizes data into separate, specialized tables consisting of rows called records and columns called fields. These tables are linked together through logical relationships based on matching data values. In global enterprise environments, understanding the conceptual foundation of database design requires absolute clarity regarding keys and data integrity. A primary key is a field or a combination of fields that uniquely identifies every single record within a table, such as a unique customer identification number. A foreign key is a field in one table that references and matches the primary key in another table, creating a logical link between the two entities. This structure enforces referential integrity, an essential database rule ensuring that relationships between tables remain consistent, preventing the creation of orphan records, such as an order table. Entry containing a non-existent customer identification number. A major, high-probability long-answer university question is, define a database management system, explain the structural limitations of traditional file processing systems, and discuss the critical role of primary keys and foreign keys in maintaining relational database integrity. 2. Deliver a flawless model answer in the examination hall. Begin by contrasting flat files with relational databases. Explain that traditional files result in data redundancy, where the same customer address is duplicated across multiple separate files, leading to data anomalies if the address changes in one file but not in another. Next, define the relational model, explaining that data is normalized into distinct tables to eliminate duplication. Then, clearly define the primary key, emphasizing its two mandatory properties, which are that it must never contain a null or empty value, and it must be completely unique across the entire table. Conclude by explaining the foreign key as the connective tissue that bridges tables, explicitly describing how referential integrity prevents data corruption by blocking invalid entries that do not have a matching primary key counterpart. To maximize your marks, illustrate your explanation with a clear, text-based relational scenario. Using entities like a customer table and an order table, describing exactly how they connect. Use a story-based memory anchor to visualize the system. Picture a secure corporate warehouse where every incoming package has a unique barcode asset tag, representing the primary key. When a package is placed onto a specific delivery truck, the truck manifest records that package barcode next to the truck ID, acting as the foreign key. This ensures that the system always knows exactly which truck carries which package, preventing lost shipments. The most frequent mistake students make is confusing primary keys with foreign keys, or stating that a table can have multiple primary keys. Remember, a table has only one primary key to ensure unique record identification, though it can contain multiple foreign keys to link it to various other tables across the enterprise database. Session 7, Computer Networks, Internet Technologies, and Electronic Commerce. In our 7th session, we expand our view from individual computer systems to interconnected global networks, examining computer networks, internet technologies, and electronic commerce. A computer network is a telecommunications system that allows multiple computers to exchange data using wired or wireless transmission media. Networks are categorized by their geographic scope, ranging from a local area network, which connects devices within a single building or office suite, to a wide area network, which spans cities, countries, or the entire globe, with the Internet being the ultimate example of a public wide area network. Electronic commerce, or e-commerce, represents the buying, selling, and marketing of products and services over these electronic networks. In international commercial environments, business models are classified by the nature of the transaction participants. You must master the 4 primary e-commerce frameworks. First, business to consumer, where an enterprise sells directly to individual retail buyers, such as an online digital bookstore. Second, business to business, where corporations trade raw materials or wholesale inventory with one another. Third, consumer to consumer, where individuals sell goods directly to other individuals via online auction platforms. Fourth, consumer to business, where individual freelancers offer professional services to corporate buyers. Advanced proficiency also requires understanding the underlying infrastructure, specifically the transmission control protocol and Internet protocol, which breaks digital business messages into small, manageable data packets, routes them across global networks, and reassembles them perfectly at the final destination. A recurring core examination question asks, outline the geographical classifications of computer networks and provide a detailed analysis of the primary electronic commerce business models, citing clear corporate examples for each framework. Your model answer must be structured with complete clarity. Begin by defining and contrasting local area networks and wide area networks, noting that local networks offer high data transfer speeds over limited areas with low error rates, while wide networks connect disparate facilities using public telecommunication infrastructure. Then, systematically detail the 4 e-commerce models. For each model, define the transaction relationship, explain the value proposition, and provide a clear real-world example. Explain that business-to-business transactions constitute the largest volume of economic value online, involving complex supply chain integrations, while business-to-consumer models focus on user experience and digital payment gateway security. To win maximum marks from the examiner, your narrative must highlight the operational cost reductions achieved through electronic commerce, such as the elimination of physical retail overhead and the automation of inventory management through real-time network updates. Use a 5-finger recall system to anchor the e-commerce components. Let your thumb represent the network infrastructure, your index finger represent the business seller, your middle finger represent the consumer buyer, your ring finger represent the secure electronic payment gateway, and your pinky finger represent the physical logistics and delivery network. The most common mistake to avoid is treating the Internet and the World Wide Web as identical concepts. Remember that the Internet is the physical, global network hardware infrastructure composed of cables and routers, whereas the World Wide Web is an application service that runs on top of the Internet, utilizing hypertext transfer protocol to display interconnected documents. Session 8, Cybersecurity, Security Threats, and Information Assurances. Our 8th session confronts the critical challenges of protecting corporate assets in the digital age, focusing on cybersecurity, modern security threats, and information assurances. Cyber security is the practice of protecting computer systems, networks, programs, and digital data from unauthorized access, malicious attacks, damage, or exploitation. As corporate operations have migrated online, the threat landscape has grown increasingly sophisticated. Security threats encompass malicious software, or malware, which includes viruses that attach themselves to legitimate files and replicate when the file is opened, worms that exploit network vulnerabilities to spread independently from system to system without human intervention, and Trojan horses that masquerade as benign utility applications while secretly installing malicious backdoors to steal sensitive data. In professional global enterprise environments, establishing robust information assurance requires strict adherence to the fundamental security framework known worldwide as the confidentiality, integrity, and availability triad. Confidentiality ensures that sensitive corporate data is accessible only to authorized personnel through encryption and multi-factor authentication. Integrity guarantees that business information remains accurate, complete, and completely unaltered during storage or transmission, protected against unauthorized modification through digital signatures and cryptographic hashing. Availability ensures that network systems and data processing infrastructure remain fully operational and accessible to business users whenever needed, protected against hardware failures and distributed denial of service attacks through redundant server architecture and comprehensive data backup protocols. A vital university examination question states, analyze the core components of the confidentiality, integrity, and availability security triad, and describe the operational characteristics of viruses, worms, and Trojan horses within a corporate network environment. Your model answer must unpack this triad with intense academic rigor. Define each pillar individually and explain its business consequence. For confidentiality, detail how symmetric and asymmetric encryption render corporate data unreadable to interceptors. For integrity, explain how checksums alert administrators to unauthorized file tampering. For availability, discuss the necessity of disaster recovery planning. Transition then to the malware analysis, providing precise definitions that contrast the replication mechanisms of viruses, the network autonomy of worms, and the deceptive nature of Trojan horses. To secure top marks, frame your response as a strategic security policy document written by a Chief Information Security Officer. Implement a powerful acronym memory system spoken aloud, to anchor the core pillars of security defense. Use the word SHIELD, where S stands for system hardening, H stands for hashing for integrity, I stands for identity authentication, E stands for encryption for confidentiality, L stands for logical network firewalls, and D stands for disaster recovery backups. By weaving this framework into your prose, you show an advanced command of the material. A frequent error made by students is using the terms virus and malware interchangeably. Remember that malware is the broad umbrella category, encompassing all forms of malicious code, while a virus is merely one specific type of malware that requires an active human host file to replicate. Session 9, the Intensive Final Examination War Room Revision Session. Welcome to the Final Examination War Room Revision Session. This final segment is engineered as a high-speed cognitive retrieval system designed to be reviewed in the last few hours before you step into the university examination hall. We will rapidly synthesize the entire curriculum, reinforcing the core definitions, frameworks, and memory triggers that will guarantee maximum marks. Listen closely, let these concepts settle deeply into your mind, and visualize the structure of your examination booklets. Recall our first foundational session on hardware architecture. The digital computer is an electronic data processing system that converts raw data into meaningful business information through an input, processing, output, and storage loop. The central processing unit is the processing engine, containing the control unit to manage internal signaling, the arithmetic logic unit to execute mathematical and logical calculations, and internal registers for microsecond data storage. Remember our restaurant memory palace anchor where the waiter is input, the kitchen manager is the control unit, the head chef is the arithmetic logic unit, the prep counter is volatile primary memory, and the serving window is output. Keep primary memory distinct from secondary storage, remembering that random access memory is entirely volatile and vanishes when power is lost. Review our second session on software frameworks. System software manages hardware resources, with the operating system serving as the master control interface. Remember the 5-finger recall system for operating system functions, thumb for the processor scheduler, index for the memory allocator, middle for the file manager, ring for the device coordinator, and pinky for the security guardian. Contrast this with application software, which is user-facing and task-specific, such as word processing or spreadsheet applications. Reinforce our third session on word processing. Focus on advanced automation. Mail merge requires two elements: the main document template containing merge fields and the data source spreadsheet containing unique recipient records. Think of the double stream river anchor, where identical bottles meet unique label tags to create personalized business correspondence. Use professional terminology like document geometry, typographical hierarchy, and collaborative version control via track changes to elevate your text layout answers. Recall our fourth session on electronic spreadsheets. A spreadsheet is a tabular grid of rows and columns intersecting to form cells identified by unique alphanumeric addresses. Remember our auditory repetition trigger loop: relative moves, absolute locks, relative moves, absolute locks. Relative references shift automatically when copied, while absolute references use currency symbols to lock specific cell coordinates, preventing calculation errors in business scenarios like static tax rate applications. Every formula must begin with an mathematical equals sign, or the software will treat it as dead, inert text. Review our fifth session on multimedia presentations. Effective business communication relies on visual minimalism to manage audience cognitive load. Slides are visual anchors, not text documents. Remember the boardroom memory palace, the door for slide transitions, the projector screen for minimalist visual layout using master slides, and the speaker for the primary narrative. Keep slide transitions distinct from object animations, as transitions occur between slides while animations apply to items within a single slide. Reinforce our sixth session on database management systems. A database is an organized collection of related data that eliminates the redundancy and update anomalies of flat file spreadsheets. Relational databases organize data into tables of records and fields. The primary key uniquely identifies every record in a table and can never be null. The foreign key resides in a related table and references the primary key, maintaining absolute referential integrity across the system. Remember the corporate warehouse anchor where the asset tag barcode is the primary key and the truck delivery manifest is the foreign key. Recall our seventh session on networks and electronic commerce. Local area networks cover short geographic distances with high speeds and low error rates, while wide area networks span global distances, utilizing the Internet as a physical hardware infrastructure running transmission control protocol and Internet protocol packet switching. Electronic commerce encompasses business to business, business to consumer, consumer to consumer, and consumer to business frameworks. Remember your 5-finger e-commerce anchor: network, infrastructure, business seller, consumer buyer, payment gateway, and physical logistics. Finally, review our 8th session on cybersecurity and information assurance. The core Framework is the confidentiality, integrity, and availability triad. Confidentiality protects privacy via encryption. Integrity protects accuracy via cryptographic hashing. Availability protects system uptime via redundant backups. Remember our spoken acronym defense framework: SHIELD, system hardening, hashing for integrity, identity authentication, encryption for confidentiality, logical firewalls, and disaster recovery backups. Differentiate malware categories clearly, knowing that viruses require a host file, worms spread autonomously across networks, and Trojan horses deceive users by hiding malicious payloads behind helpful interfaces. Pastor Philemon Philip, you are now fully equipped with a master level, examination-focused understanding of computer application in business. You know the definitions, you have visualized the memory palaces, you understand the structural requirements of the model answers, and you know exactly how to communicate with the university examiner to secure maximum marks. Approach your examination with complete academic confidence, clarity, and peace of mind. Your preparation is complete, your success is assured, and you are ready to achieve excellence.